story of my life.
Hello, my name is Peter Delane, and welcome to this director's commentary for The Bounder. Norman Stanley Fletcher, starring Peter Bowles, the governor, and George Cole, the governor. And the two of them together, like world-class athletes, tennis players, Borg, Sampras, and to a lesser degree, Henman. Two tennis pros at the top of their game.
I've already had to catch
Venus and Serena. And look at the way the ball goes back and forth.
Well,
Whang!
do you mean you don't want these people to move?
Whang!
Well,
Here! Whang!
what do you tell
Here!
them?
Whang!
I tell them you've been abroad. Abroad?
And then back out for a serve.
Are you ashamed of me, Trevor?
Yes.
Whang!
May I tell
LBW.
you something, Trevor?
And a wonderful laugh from a wonderful audience. You know, I always say that when people ask me, Peter, what's the most important element of one of your shows? I say, look behind you. If they have their backs to you, if they're on the stage looking out at the audience, I'll say look ahead. It depends on which. Let's not get bogged down. I'm saying it's the audience. The audience are the most important part. And there. Now I could pick up in that laughter one particular laugh, that of Donald Lindley, who was a darling of a man, and Donald and his wife Susan, daughter Jeanette, 32, never married. They would come to all of my recordings, and they had a wonderful, wonderful, raucous laugh that could lift any production. Uproarious laughter. They would laugh at anything and everything.
I'll get a spade.
Oh, good.
It was a double-edged sword. I mean, I remember having to have them forcibly ejected from Inspector Morse.
I'm glad we understand each other, Hyde.
Of course.
It was an ugly scene. John was furious. Lewis! Kevin Waitley running around. Kevin was a friend of mine for a while. Actually formed a company together, a production company, Waitley, Delane. Waitley. Ego of the man was appalling. And we had an idea for a super game show, Auf Wiedersehen Pets Win Prizes. And Kevin was right behind it, and there was a change at the top at the Beeb. Down the tube it went. But I have no contact with Kevin anymore. We fell out over lunch, and great shame, because he's a gifted actor. And I don't see the Lindleys anymore.
What?
I hear them, of course. That familiar laughter on many a show, and of course young Jeanette's hacking cough. Dreadful cough. Never one to remember her inhaler. They pop up on all sorts of shows. They work with Mr. O'Connor. Today with Des and Mel. Tonight with Des and Mel. And of course Chris Evans is one of their greatest supporters, has gone on record as saying that without the Lindleys, I mean, boys and girls would have been just a vapid, self-indulgent, irrelevant, ill-organised, ill-executed, unmitigated disaster.
Oh, yes.
A million miles away from the ratings and critical smash that it turned out to be.
Well, I invested a
It's
considerable
got BAFTA written all over it. BAFTER. Well done, Chris.
They turned out to be a bunch of crooks. I lost the lot.
And so now we've turned the corner and we're on the home straight. Heavy with symbolism. Look at the cotton. We're gathering in the threads of the story.
I saw him leaving the court with a
And as Peter Bowles reels in, Isla, Peter Delane, yours truly, is reeling in the audience. That's a nice shot. Look at that. Back in a 3.
Isn't he
Back in 3 and a puff, actually. Big puff. Ottoman. Got it on the Ottoman Empire, Tottenham Court Road. Absolutely heaving with them.
How strange.
Now, there's tension in this scene. And who better to help me crank up the tension than the governor, Peter Bowles, and old...
I thought it was an
Sorry, phone going there. Hang on. Don't stop. It's all right. I'll put it on busy. There we are. It's gone. Old King Cole. And he's going from tea to gin, and that tells us something. That tells us that we're cranking up the tension. Will Peter's secret be revealed? That's a nice shot again. It's a 1 and a lower 2, straight into a 1, hand to the brow. Enjoy the tie.
Do you know, for a moment I thought I was in heaven?
Never without it. George crosses, foreground, sits down. I've come round to a 2. That's nice. And a little note for film students, if you want to get a look of shock from your actor, pop a drop of bleach into the glass, as I've done here with George. Of course, he was furious. Had me by the lapels. You ruddy nit, he said. I think that's what he said, because it sounded more like... Couldn't make out what he was saying, but I knew he wasn't happy. And assured me I wouldn't work for ITV again. That's quite a grand claim for an actor to make of a director, isn't it? But he was right, I haven't.
Right through our bedroom last night looking for some socks.
Of course, the irony of it is after being attacked by George Cole, that I had to employ a minder.
Wasn't limping, it was
But you know, the odd thing is that I thank George. I mean, it was a knockout blow, but it was also a wake-up call. And I think now that if he hadn't assaulted me the way he did, I wouldn't have started drinking again. And so, of course, I wouldn't then have gone into rehabilitation, and I would never have been able to meet the 5th Mrs. Delane, the lovely Pamela, who, when I met her, was a nurse there. Under my influence, promptly became a patient. There's the old question, is the glass half full or half empty? A little over half, isn't it, really? And Arthur steps into the Winchester Club. Large VAT, please, Dave.
Trevor!
Right you are, Arthur!
Were you really?
Yes, would you like a drink?
Wonderful asthmatic landlord.
Never mind.
And any moment now, Trigger will step out of the shadows. Hello, Dave.
I'm afraid.
It's not Dave, it's Del Boy, you turnip.
Moving on soon. Yes, I rather thought
Wonderful,
you were trying to
wonderful
persuade me,
times.
Trevor, my mind's made up.
I'm not going to. Where
If you want to, I'll change your situation.
I never thought that lightning could
You
strike
plonker.
twice in the same place, but it has.
You plonker, Terry.
I'm in love with Laura.
Oh, no.
Yes, I haven't told
Actually
her
lost a lot of money with Dennis Waterman on a
or any snack.
animated film that we made together.
Yes, yes, there are 1 or 2.
Very much the precursor to Finding Nemo, way upstream, all about trout, based on the children's book by Roger Daltrey, Trout, Lovely Trout,
What bright side?
a follow-up to the best-selling Lovely, Lovely Trout, which, of course, also did well on audiobook, read very slowly by Vinnie Jones, in which 2 rainbow trout, voiced by Dennis Waterman and Rula Lenska, lose their daughter, voiced by that wonderful, edgy young actress, Gabby Roslin.
What's the matter?
And it was a disaster. I will say, if you are intent on creating a children's animated feature, then do follow the pattern laid out by Disney and Pixar, and don't get yourself an 18 certificate. But that was Dennis. He's a stickler for realism, and as he said, you know, they're trout, Peter. They're trapped on a trout farm. They know that death is imminent. How the F do you effing think they effing feel, Peter? And as I said to Dennis, you know, please, please put me down.
Well, most days it was just a handful of maize and a few wild berries. We didn't go into the jungle with wire baskets, Laura.
But that was in his stickler for realism. I remember his work on Stay Lucky with the wonderful Jan Francis. I mean, they were a Brando and Schneider for their time.
Huh?
Last Tango in Paris.
You were trying to seduce me.
Utterly butterly.
Good heavens!
And we see the governor there mixing a cocktail. I think that's what I do as director.
Very insidious. It makes
My
me want to
cocktail is a little
dance.
different. I've taken a dash of Peter Bowles,
Incapacitated?
a slice of Isla Blair, a shot of George Cole,
But over the last few
and the
days,
pulp of Rosalind
I've been touching with
Ayres.
straws, but I felt
Add in a pinch of script, dash of timing, and a big dollop of my essence.
Return.
And what have you got?
And when I looked
A
at it
slow,
this morning,
comfortable Delane against the wall. Banger.
That's mine.
I think he wants to.
It's you, Laura. You've made me feel...
Well, here's the governor in full seduction
You
mode.
know what I'm going to do?
Recalls the days of the greats, doesn't it? The great moustached actors, Errol Flynn, David
All
Niven,
over, I'm going to get up.
Anne Robinson.
Then
Peachy.
let's dance, Howard.
It's Clark Gable, isn't it? Frankly, my dear, I don't give a shit.
I know.
Someday I'm gonna write the story of my life. Someday I'm gonna write the story of my life.
Hello, my name is Peter Delane, and welcome to this special edition director's commentary. And this is a classic opening for Flambards. Hazy shot, traffic coming towards you through the wheat, and the smiling faces that tell us all is well. And then I wanted to suggest a little bit of tension, so here we are. Chap coming the other way. It's oil and water, they're not going to mix. What's going to happen here? There's going to be an almighty crash, an action scene, and whoa! Yes, he's off. And I said, now do something that will suggest this... And there it is! Yes, yes, yes. I dare say that a Brian De Palma or a Martin Scorsese would have had blood and guns, but all I needed was a fist.
It can't be that bad.
I think a fist can say so
Haven't
much.
seen Dick for weeks.
Well-placed
When you
fist.
sack people, you often don't.
And I suppose in many ways as they're entering the gate, as we're entering the story, and he's saying goodbye to his compatriot, he's also saying goodbye to the opening of the show, because now we're into the meat of the drama. I did tell her not to do that because we were renting this property. And she remembered. Tries to throw it away, thinking that I wouldn't notice, but I'm afraid old Eagle-Eye Delane knew it, and I docked her wages.
Isn't that enough?
This is a classic Delane shot, the close to. Look at that. Look at that. That became my signal. Oh dear.
Floors to sweep.
That was extremely close then, wasn't it? That was too close. Too close. From a close to a too close. Over the shoulder, in the mirror, 3 heads for the price of 2. Bang. Thank you, Peter.
Let's wait until tomorrow comes. Shall we?
Crossing the mirror. Dangerous.
What's that on your skirt? Right.
It's a wonderful scene. In the script it simply said Japes, and I think I achieved that. Very lucky to have this property. Belonged to Monty Stevens, head of drama at ITV. Monty was grateful for the money. His wife was in the final stages of Phelps, spending a lot of time in Switzerland. Had a blood transfusion from a baboon. Last-ditch attempt to rejuvenate her. Tragically, it had the opposite effect. Finished her off. Those final days, very difficult for the doctors. They would trying to administer things intravenously, and she would be spending a lot of her time in treetops. And we're indoors. No, we're not. Yes, we are. That's something I like to do. I like to tease an audience. Enter Simon Foster.
Where have you been all day?
If only. Wonderful actor, trained with Ian Ogilvy. Silence. Presence. Beagle. A physical actor, wonderful style. Used to like to have 1 foot in the air and one on the ground. There it is.
Used to reading, have you?
Not just a great actor, also a wonderful snooker player. 180. And so we're outdoors. And that's something I like to do. I like to alternate my locations. Indoors, outdoors. Indoors, outdoors. Indoors, outdoors, indoors, outdoors.
Are you sure?
I think I'm at my happiest in a porch. BOBW, best of both worlds.
That thing you just fitted.
And this was a difficult scene because it was middle of winter and there were no leaves on the trees. And well done, Dominic and Tim in props, who actually put leaves on the trees by hand, ably assisted by a young Lawrence Llewellyn Bowen. And if you look closely, you can spot Lawrence's. They're the ones with stripes.
Oh, stop it!
Of course, next day they all fell down.
I only asked.
That's nice. Wonderful suggestion of a curtain being opened. Well done lighting. Well done, Peter, for suggesting it.
You do.
What about that ride you promised me?
I told you.
Underlying sexual
Real.
tension. That's what I was trying to get
Yeah.
here. Ride, of course, could mean
No.
one of two things.
5 o'clock.
Or three things, actually, because there's something that I picked up on a trip to Belgium.
No, Mark. I will not go for a ride with you. You're not bullying me.
Now we're outdoors. Following that Delane formula, indoors, outdoors, indoors, outdoors.
Wouldn't an engine have been better?
Oh, it is an engine. Oh. I see.
Jeffrey Statham, wonderful actor.
I
Little
used to
theatre.
make jokes like that at Williams about. He quite loses his sense of humor.
Look at that German accent, absolutely perfect. Tended to play German parts. Steely sort of Aryan look to him. Teutonic efficiency. Actually came from Yeovil.
Evidently.
Big car boot
All
man.
dressed up and nowhere to go.
I did.
And I think
was
he
going to have a free display of your aeronautic.
adored the opportunity that Flambards afforded him to show another
We had a bit
another side of his personality, you know.
Not the.
Not just the
drag and
Nazi.
thrust or the power weight ratio. At
Look, there's that
least
lovely
I-
Delane. 2 on 2, then plane.
I shall be sure to take my gnome with me.
Going further, pull focus. Thank you. Little buggers. Nice to see you. To see you nice. A lot of people were against the casting of Bruce. He was riding high with the Generation Game. It was the idea of Gilly Kent, our casting director, went on to become Gilly Delane, the third Mrs. Delane. And I think it was for the best. I think that without his time on Flambards, it's very unlikely that Bruce would ever have
What the hell's that?
snagged Player Cards right.
Morning repast, sir.
And he became a dab hand with the chair. He would rehearse incessantly, and it was shooting the Generation Game at the weekends, and he would actually rehearse the Generation Game in the chair. And I remember a dreadful incident when one of the contestants was disabled and felt that Bruce was poking fun at her.
Why? For the coronation. You what?
Of course, he was advised by
I run this
his
house.
sort of showbiz contemporaries against doing this.
That in future.
Yarwood, I remember, wrote a particularly stinging letter to the Times. There we are, turning on grass. That's not easy. Now listen closely. In this scene, you'll hear a very low percussion, a very low drumming. There it is. Now, incidentally, not Cozy Powell,
Are you sure it'll work?
who was away working for my, hesitate to use the word nemesis, but Terry Dixon, was working, directing the Needham line, and Cozy had gone to work there, and so we had Rick Allen, who went on, of course, to find great fame with Def Leppard all those years later. Rick came in. At that time, of course, he had full use of both of his arms. Was able to give us that wonderful mounting beat. The only time that Rick worked with me was on this episode of Flambards. I can't help wondering that if he had stayed with me, he would now be able to enjoy a Chinese meal. It's the cruelty of the show business. There we are, look at that. If it's not grass, it's gravel.
Switches on.
That's nice, because I'm continuing a theme there, you see. The turning of the wheel. Look at this. This is Delane. This, if I'm remembered for anything, it would be obvious visual repetition. I tell you, if the wheelchair went that fast... Bruce absolutely furious. Look. Reminds me of when he found out he hadn't got the part in Born on the 4th of July. Absolutely livid. This was nice. We weren't allowed to actually let the plane take off, so once you see it in the air, it's a model shot. That's not a real actor, that's a dummy. What? What? Pardon? Yeah, there's the model. That's a real actress. Model, actress, model, actress. Model. Rather obvious in that shot, I have to say.
And to think he's scared of horses.
There There he goes.
Herman Wilmore is the inspiration.
Who?
He's the hero of the moment, my dear. William.
It was a wonderful day to do an episode like this. And there's young Ben Sawyer, who's meant to be in that scene from the start. Now listen for Rick's work on drums. Listen to what he does to give a sense of foreboding. Nice, lovely Denny Hall shot there through the buttercups. Listen to Rick. Boom, boom. Boom, boom. Plane's going to crash. Plane's going to crash. Plane's crashed! Yes! And look at that. Look at that. We did that with 6 stagehands, just getting the plane up like that, upside down. And that's a crash. And yet the wings remarkably undamaged because we had to give the plane back in a good condition. It would have been disastrous to hand it back, so we had a fake propeller brought in.
William, are you all right?
Of course, in these days, in the 1970s, you weren't allowed to have actual deaths in your dramas. Any injury that happened had to be superficial. And as a result, you were able to crash a biplane into a field at great speed and then look around with a cheeky grin on your face. And I can't help thinking that
William!
it was an more innocent age.
Someday I'm gonna write